The time for celebrating FC Cincinnati's invitation to join Major League Soccer is over. That was quick. Now they're getting right down to business. On the Business Courier front page centerpiece this week, the future is now for FC Cincinnati. The franchise has a giant to-do list before it starts MLS play in just 9 months. FC Cincinnati is on the clock. The team will join MLS for the 2019 season, a full year ahead of Nashville, which received a bid in December of 2017. That gives FCC the shortest lead time to enter the league of any expansion club in more than a decade. And there's more at stake than winning games.
The global promotion opportunity of MLS was really the biggest driver for us. We want to promote our city worldwide. We know we're in a competition for talent, for North American headquarters, for investment, and our sports teams do put Cincinnati on the map, and soccer puts you on the worldwide map better than any other sport.
The team is ahead of the curve on many levels, including the quality of UC's Nippert Stadium, which will serve as its home for 2 seasons, Jeff Birding's experience with Major League Sports, and some key hires that are moving the process forward. So, preparing FCC for the 2019 season boils down to 3 key areas: ownership, stadiums, and roster. To talk about those factors, Business Courier reporter Steve Watkins is in the studio this morning with editor Rob Dahlmeyer. Gentlemen.
Thanks, Peg. Steve, thanks for being here.
Glad to do it.
It felt like we sort of had an inkling this was going to happen last year, so there was a whole lot of waiting on FC Cincinnati, and then they got it done, they announced it, and now it's all guns blazing, which is what your story's all about this week. You kind of broke it down. Yeah, you kind of broke it down into 3 sort of really important things they have to focus on. So let's just go through those real quick.
Sure.
The first one is ownership. Carl Lindner III obviously is the majority owner, but that's not the whole story.
That's right, far from it. Well, first of all, it's a lot bigger financial commitment joining MLS. I mean, there was some significant money being a USL team, but it's a second division league, sort of like a minor league.
Yeah.
When you join the MLS, first of all, it's $150 million for the franchise fee. They're investing more than $200 million, probably around $215 million in a new stadium. And then there are other costs that go into it, training facility and operating costs. So You're talking about a major outlay of money. Carl Lindner III is still the majority owner. Scott Farmer and George Joseph, among others, but those 2 being the biggest investors previously, have increased their stake quite a bit. And then they expanded the ownership group to bring in more money, and it went from 9 people with the USL team to somewhere in the range of 20 to 30, all local people for the MLS team. And Carl Lindner says these teams on average are valued at about $230 million. So if you do the math, it doesn't quite add up. It seems like a losing proposition. But Carl Lindner says he thinks it will be a really good investment. The franchise value will go up, and the marketing arm of MLS is worth as much as $100 million per team.
Wow.
So that's a big deal, too.
So, and you mentioned stadiums. Obviously, they're building one in the West End, but they've got a lot of stadium issues right now.
Well, they're actually building 3 stadiums, believe it or not. They're building a high school stadium at Taft to replace the one that they're taking to build their new stadium. They have to renovate Nippert Stadium somewhat. It's not major, but there are a few things they have to do. They're building a new locker room and improving some broadcasting facilities for the next 2 seasons. And then obviously they're building the MLS stadium. They're doing some things even like hiring an architect and a construction manager probably this month. And they should be breaking ground by year end in 2021 in time for the season. That stadium should be ready.
And then the final part you look at is the roster. The players that they have on the team now, a lot of these guys are not going to be around when they bump up to the MLS next year. Where do they get the players, and how does that work?
Yeah, they come from a variety of places, and the payroll goes up as a whole for the team. It's a little over $1 million now. The average for MLS is about $9 million, so it'll go up a lot. They probably will keep, on average, teams keep about 5 or 6 players when they move up, but you've got the draft of college players. There's an expansion draft of unprotected players playing in MLS now. And then in soccer, there's a lot of free agency, including signing players from overseas. FC Cincinnati has added scouts across the globe and is still doing that, so they'll bring in some of those guys as well.
Well, it's a great story, and Steve also has a breakdown of some of these deadlines that month by month, 9 months is not a lot of time to get this together. So
they got a lot to do.
There's a lot going on, and so we'll have to stay tuned on a lot of this.